And we're good to go.
Great. Good morning. This is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. We're holding this meeting virtually. I'll do a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning. I'm here.
Excellent. Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Maynard.
Good morning.
Okay. So today is Thursday, February 8th, and I'm just going to take a second to pause on our public meeting number. Public meeting number 500. That doesn't include our agenda setting meetings, but it does include all the other public meetings and represents, I think, the body of work that this commission does transparently and for the public's benefit. We stream and appear live through this virtual, often through this virtual mechanism, but also in person. So to the team who is always there supporting us and furthering our work, we thank you. Number 500. Before we get started on the business of the day, I just wanted to say with the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, this will be the second time that Massachusetts residents will be eligible to make wagers on the big game at legal and regulated retail sports books, and the first time for the mobile online platforms. So we want to remind those who do wish to bet to do so with our legal and regulated operators in the state. The comprehensive list, as you know, can be found on our website, and our team will be sharing this on our social media as well. Thank you to Tom Mills and Dave Souza. And a reminder too that our regulated licensees provide important responsible gaming tools that our bettors can avail themselves of. So for those who choose to bet, good luck. Otherwise, I'm calling this meeting to order, and we are going to really focus on two matters that we started on last week, and we realized that probably a pause would be helpful for efficiency purposes and to probably ultimately achieve everybody's goals. So I'm going to turn to Carrie Teresi, our Deputy General Counsel, and Bruce Band is not able to be here, but his team, I see Crystal Boschman is standing in there, and Andrew Steffen, his Director Band's two fine managers, so thank you. I think Carrie will be leading the discussion, and thank you. And I do want to acknowledge that that both operators, and I see right now it looks primarily that Betr has their video on. We want to thank you for immediately convening with our team and sorting out the outstanding issues so that we could have a productive meeting today. So thank you. Carrie?
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So we're here, of course, to address the notices of intent to cease operations in the Commonwealth from both Betr and WynnBET. Staff has worked closely with Betr and WynnBET to make amendments to their cessation plans to ensure that they're in compliance with all regulatory requirements, and also that they're to the satisfaction of the sports wagering, finance, IT, and legal divisions. Sports wagering, finance, IT, and legal have all reviewed the final plans and are satisfied with all components of the submissions, and we do recommend approval by the Commission. You have red lines of the plans in your packet. I'll note for Betr that the red line is a red line version of the version that you saw last week, just to be clear sort of what the changes had been. The clean version follows the structure of the regulations, but the content is identical. I'll also just make a reminder here regarding waiver requests. The regulations require operators to submit notice of intent to cease operations no fewer than 90 days before the proposed cessation date. We did receive the notices with fewer than 90 days notice. So if you do decide to approve the cessation plans today, we would also need to issue a waiver from that 90-day notice requirement. And then also, pardon me, I'll just make a note regarding the process from here. So we'll discuss the cessation plans for possible approval today. The next step would be that the operators would report on their progress in 10 days. And then would submit reports on completion of their cessation plans on approved the cessation date. So what that means here is that we would come back in the coming weeks to approve Betr's final cessation report and WynnBET's 10-day report. There wouldn't be a 10-day report for Betr because their cessation date falls within that 10 days. and then again to approve WynnBET's final cessation report. So if it works for the commission, I thought what I would do is highlight, starting with Betr, the key points from the plan, particularly areas that we discussed last week, and then address any questions. And of course, we have representatives from Betr here, Ashwin Krishnan, Alex Ursa, and Robert Warren to answer any questions that you might have.
First off, I want to thank Carrie for being here today. As you can tell, she is challenged by some sickness. So thank you, Carrie.
Of course.
Yeah, take that. Carrie, just process-wise, as we walk through the plan, we're able to walk through the plan and consider it, notwithstanding the fact that there's the 90-day requirement was not met. Do we have to address the waiver first or no?
I think in terms of voting, you'd want to address the waiver first. So, you know, if you feel inclined to do that now, we could do that, or we could wait until after we've discussed the plan.
I will defer to you, Carrie. We'll walk through the plan.
Okay, I think that's appropriate to walk through the plan first.
Thank you.
So I think what I'll do here is just run through the highlights, and please stop me at any point if you have particular questions. And I'll start with Betr here. So Betr is proposing February 16th as their date of cessation. They will provide notice to patrons of the closure within 2 business days of approval of the cessation plans by the commission. That notice will include instruction on how they can withdraw their funds via the app. And they did include a sample notice in their amended plans. A notice would also be posted on their website and in the app. So of course, if the plans are approved today, that would be on Monday. Patrons will have until March 16th to withdraw funds from their accounts. Any patron that hasn't withdrawn their funds by March 16th will Betr will send a check to the last physical address on file, and any unclaimed balances will be handled in accordance with Chapter 200A governing the disposition of unclaimed property in Massachusetts. Betr will not offer any wagers after 11:59 p.m. on February 16th, and all existing wagers will be settled by February 16th. On February 6th, Betr stopped offering sign-up bonuses in Massachusetts, and I did confirm that that happened yesterday. 2 days ago. On February 7th, Betr released any deposits locked due to sign-up bonus terms and conditions so that deposits were available for withdrawal. And again, I did confirm that that has occurred. Betr will introduce a geolocation block for Massachusetts, so no wager can be accepted after 11:59 p.m. on February 16th. On February 6th, Betr added all Massachusetts customers to a no communication list for advertising and marketing campaigns. And once again, I did confirm that that has already happened. They have submitted a separate data retention and decommission plan, identifying how they'll retain data that the commission may need to access and how they'll decommission the mass-specific portion of the platform. Within 48 hours of approval of the plan by the commission, they'll confirm with commission's IT staff that all requirements related to the decommissioning of its platform in Massachusetts, including access to patron accounts and the retention of data, are sufficiently addressed. They did indicate as well that they won't decommission any servers that currently store data, and they'll provide access to the commission to their backup servers to access any requested data. Beginning on March 16th, anyone in Massachusetts attempting to access, log in, or download the app will receive an ineligible location message and will not be able to log in. They've indicated they'll meet all regulatory and financial obligations. Within 2 business days of the commission's approval of the plan, they will publish notice on the Boston Globe website and in the Boston Globe print edition within 5 business days in accordance with the regulations. Within 2 business days of the commission's approval of the plan, they'll create a dedicated FAQ page to provide patrons with information on how to access their funds and to address other anticipated concerns. Notwithstanding that dedicated FAQ page, on February 16th, they will remove all references to Massachusetts operations from articles related to Betr's live operations. With respect to vendors, all vendors were notified on January 25th, and they will be updated within 2 business days of commission approval of the plan. Betr will also inform all vendors that anyone licensed and doing business solely with Betr will be required to surrender their license within 10 days of Betr's surrender of its license pursuant to our regulatory requirements. So those are the key points from the plan. Happy to answer any questions. And again, the representatives from Betr are here as well.
Thank you. And again, to Carrie, I know that both our CIO and our CFO worked with you. So thank you to Katrina and Derek for looking at the IT and finance pieces here. Questions and comments, commissioners? Commissioner O'Brien, are you leaning in?
I am, Madam
Thank
Chair.
you. My
mic is
apologies.
off.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I also want to say thank you to Carrie, who spent significant time with me going over, I guess, the finer points that I raised at last Thursday's meeting. And Carrie, I apologize because I didn't remind you of this question when we talked, but were you able to get any additional information on what the license surrender process is?
For the operators,
licensees and vendors, I think the regulation speaks to.
yeah, so we asked each operator to insert language that they will notify any licensees or vendors of that requirement that they would surrender their license so that they are on notice. I did speak with Kara as well, and she was comfortable that it's something we would be able to track and monitor. And essentially, you know, the regulation uses the word surrender, but essentially the license would become inactive.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then generally, could you just explain what the unclaimed property process is after a check is mailed? What's the timing of how much time is allotted, I guess, for the individual to cash the check before it goes into the unclaimed property fund?
Yeah, so my understanding is that it's 3 years. If property remains unclaimed for 3 years, then the statute kicks in, and it would go into those accounts and someone could then attempt to claim.
Okay.
Yeah, so the check is usually active for 6 months, right? Even a bank check is only active for 6 months. However, the money stays with Betr for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, if there's been no access with them, then it's turned over to the treasurer. Then the treasurer will liquidate that after a year, after noticing the public. But that is not the end of the process. If someone wants to come forward, the treasurer always has up to $500,000 in the unclaimed check fund. Any balance has to go over to the stabilization fund. And if there's a process that can verify that it's their money, they can get it back.
Okay.
But they have to go to a hearing with the treasurer's office. I am not an expert on this, but I have dealt with it many times where vendors are coming forward looking for money out of the unclaimed check fund or out of the abandoned property fund. And it seems like it works pretty well.
Thank you, Derek. One other question. Is there any affirmative action required by our staff in reaching out to the treasurer's office or the unclaimed property division to sort of notify them of the cessation of these operators and the potential for funds to come to that fund?
There's no requirement in the statute. It's all on the party that is ceasing operations. If we were in possession of those funds, then there is a section for public and quasi-public entities. However, we're not in possession of those funds. It's all on the operator. But we did put it into our regulations that they would adhere to this rule. They have put it in their cessation plan. So you know, if they're still operating in 3 years, there's always, you know, possibility for negative action there if they're not complying with that. So, you know, I think that dealing with Betr, they want to do what's right here. They've said many times we're going to stick to what the law says. We operate in other jurisdictions, so I think that we're pretty well covered.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Betr, Derek. Thank you.
May I do a follow-up, Commissioner Skinner, on that? First off, I thought the plan was very clear, and thank you so much. I did note one little discrepancy on this issue between the FAQs and the plan. And it might matter. to the commissioners, they didn't note it. It looks like in the cessation plan, you're going to use good faith efforts to contact all the patrons with any remaining balances. So it sounds like you'll be proactive, which seems to be in the spirit of our discussion. But the FAQ, and it, like 1, 2, the 5th bullet, how much time do I have to withdraw my funds? You say you'll be able to log in and withdraw your funds until March 16th. After this date, you will need to reach out to support Betr to receive a check with your funds. So
It's a mistake from our side. We'll correct it and we'll make sure when we publish, we'll also send a copy to the commission, but we'll make sure we update it. That we will send the check, and then if the check is not redeemed, we're going to make efforts to remind them about it.
Thank you, and that's what I figured. Of course, if a customer reaches out to customer service, that's fine too, but you're going to try to be proactive. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Other questions or comments? Well, I appreciate, as I said, the efforts here to put all great minds together. Thank you to Carrie for acknowledging that the legal team has felt that it meets all of the legal requirements, and commissioners, you don't find any particular deficiencies. Okay. So in order for Betr to proceed, we do need a couple of votes. And I think we would start with, maybe you can set up the withdrawal process, Carrie, because that's a little bit of a different reg with different requirements.
The waiver request?
The waiver, I said withdrawal, my apologies, waiver.
Yes, let me just, nope. I don't have that reg open. If you want me to run through the requirements, give me 1 second.
No, if you, my apologies, Carrie. Just a reminder for the commissioners. I have to acknowledge that Thursday's meeting was a little bit of a challenge, but now, to be fair, we do have a reg that requires a 90-day notice. It just didn't, it was such that in this case, that 90-day requirement was difficult to meet. And so we have to address that now. So here we are.
Sorry, 1 moment.
Oh, that's okay, Karen. No pressure. I think it'll just be helpful for the commissioners. I feel like it's in your memo.
Gary, are you
So
looking for the waiver reg?
Yeah, I've got it. It's just
Oh.
because it's a piece of 102 and a piece of 202. But so
Thank you.
to issue the waiver, the commission needs to be based on a finding that granting the waiver is consistent with the purposes of Chapter 23N, and that it will not interfere with the ability of the commission or the Bureau to fulfill its duties. It will not adversely affect the public interest, and that not granting the waiver would cause a substantial hardship to the person requesting the waiver.
Okay. Just want to check in with Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Hill, are you all set? If you're able to answer.
I'm very satisfied with the presentation today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, with that, if there are no questions on the waiver process, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that in accordance with 205 CMR 202.03 subsection 2, the commission issue a waiver to Betr from the requirements outlined in 205 CMR 258.01 subsection 1, as granting the waiver meets the requirements specified in 205 CMR 102.03 subsection 4 and is consistent with the purposes of General Law Chapter 23N.
Second.
Any questions or edits? Okay, Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Okay, now, Carrie, what's next in terms of approval of the plan?
Yep, you could go ahead and approve Better's plan at this time.
Any outstanding questions on the plan itself, commissioners? I'm seeing and hearing none. Do I have a motion? Well, thank you, Commissioner Maynard.
Move. I move that the commission approve the cessation plan submitted to Betr pursuant to 205 CMR 258.03 subsection 1 as required by 205 CMR 258.03 subsection 2 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thanks, Commissioner Hill. Thank you, Commissioner Maynard. Any edits on that motion? Questions? Okay.
Just a friendly amendment. Rather than to Betr, should be by Betr. Plan submitted by.
I said by Betr pursuant to 205 CMR.
Okay, I heard submitted to Betr, so
Okay.
it's fine. I might have, no,
We
I
have
might
a
have
tape.
misheard.
We
I
have a
might have
tape.
misheard,
I'll
so
accept it if I said it. If not, I'll leave it as is. Is that okay, Commissioner Skinner?
it is, absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner.
All
Got
right.
our prepositions all straight. Excellent. Thank you, commissioners. All right, anything further? Okay, Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard,
Aye.
and I vote yes. Thank you so much. That's 5-0. So Betr. I'll have Attorney Teresi go over again just next steps. But before we do that, I want to thank you for entering Massachusetts market. Your product was, as we looked at the spectrum of the market, the product that you offered was different. And I know that during our assessment that mattered, at least to this commissioner. I wish you much good luck as you continue to offer it in a regulated market across the country. So thank you.
Thank you so much for those kind words and really appreciate the support and guidance of the commission and particularly the staff in the last few weeks as we've worked through this process. The dedicated staff has been tremendous and really appreciate all of the guidance we've received from them and from the commission. And like we said in our notice, hope to re-enter at some point in the future.
That's very kind of you. And we do have an excellent staff. So thank you for acknowledging that. The team was very, you really pivoted all so nicely today. So thank you. Carrie, next steps, just as a reminder.
Yes, so for Betr, they will submit their final report that shows that they've completed all steps of their cessation on the 16th, and then we would return to the commission the following week so that you could formally approve the cessation.
Thank you. Okay. And Carrie, you're available if they have any questions along the way, correct?
Of course. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
So now returning to item 2B and WynnBET, and I want to welcome both Ms. Roberts and Ms. Crum. Jennifer and Jackie, thank you again for your patience last week as we navigated this new area on relatively short notice. There's a reason why the regulation probably has a 90-day requirement, and we just had to step up the pace. So thank you. We appreciate it, your patience very much. Back to Carrie. Thank you.
Of course. All right, so I'll run through the details of WynnBET's plan now. Their cessation date is February 23rd. Pardon me. That's also the date that their license would expire. So that would be the ultimate closure of operations. Within 48 hours of commission approval of its plan, or on Monday, if the approval is received on a Thursday or Friday. So here we would be talking about this coming Monday. WynnBET will shut off all sports wagering markets so that no wagers can be placed, and will shut off the ability of patrons to deposit funds into their account from within Massachusetts at 11 a.m. Within 48 hours of approval, again, or on Monday, if approval is received on a Thursday or Friday. So again, we would be talking about this coming Monday. At 11 a.m., WynnBET will send notice to patrons regarding the closing of operations, indicating that all sports betting offerings will be discontinued effective immediately. The notice will also inform patrons that they will have 30 days to access their accounts and withdraw funds, how they may withdraw funds, how future bets or parlays will be settled, and what will happen with Wynn Rewards points. And there is a sample notice included. They'll also publish that notice on their website and in their app. During the 30-day period following this notice, they'll send a weekly reminder to Massachusetts patrons to withdraw funds from their accounts. Patrons with wagers and parlays that remain unsettled after the 30-day wind down period will be contacted by a WynnBET representative within 7 business days to resolve settlements. Any outstanding bet credits from the Wynn Rewards loyalty program will be paid out in cash, and remaining loyalty points will be available for use at Encore Boston Harbor, Wynn Las Vegas, or at Encore at Wynn Las Vegas. Excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry, Mary.
Patrons will have 30 days to withdraw their funds and will receive weekly reminders. They'll also be able to withdraw in person at Encore Boston Harbor. Patrons who don't withdraw their funds within the 30-day period will be contacted by a WynnBET representative within 10 business days to settle the account. Any unclaimed balances will be handled in accordance with the Massachusetts Unclaimed Property Statute. They also submitted a separate plan for decommissioning of the sports wagering platform, access to patron accounts, and the retention of and access to data, which our IT division has reviewed closely and is satisfied with. They will continue to submit financial reports to the commission as required, ensure that W-2Gs are issued, and make win-loss statements available to patrons. They notified their primary suppliers on January 29th. They will notify all Massachusetts vendors and suppliers within 48 hours of commission approval of the plan, and will notify vendors and suppliers that anyone doing business solely with WynnBET would be required to surrender their license within 10 days of WynnBET's surrender of its license in accordance with the regulations. They also notified employees on January 29th, and they will publish notice in the Boston Globe's online and print editions within 5 business days of commission approval of the plan in accordance with the regulations. So happy to take any questions that you have. And again, as you mentioned, Jennifer Roberts and Jackie Crum are also here.
Commissioners, questions? Everybody's had a chance to review the submission a couple of times.
Madam Chair, I did have a question about, so the bets that have already been placed, but the event's going to be 30 days after cessation. It says that it will be settled. The patron will be contacted by WynnBET in terms of how those would be settled. And it's probably in here and I didn't see it, but can we get more information on how those are going to be settled if the event's after the 30 days post cessation?
Yeah, we did discuss this. I'll ask Jennifer to explain if that's all right with you, Jennifer.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission staff. Commissioner O'Brien, we intend to reach out to the patrons to discuss how to resolve the settlement of their wagers that are after the 30 days. So we will contact each individual patron with outstanding wagers.
But is there a specific plan in terms of how that's like, are they gonna be able to transfer it, say, through the brick and mortar, or because I'm just wondering if someone had it and they're losing out on something that maybe they don't want to just void, is that going to be an option for them?
Well, it would be discussed with them on how that they would want to resolve it, but we would give them an opportunity for, you know, fair value of their wager that they could go place with another operator or at the retail location.
Got it. So not pivoted over to the retail location, but paid out, and then they could place it somewhere else if they wanted.
Correct. Yeah, that would be something that we discussed. That it won't be necessarily payout of the full wager because the wager is unsettled. So at a minimum, it would be returning their stake and what they would be able to place at another operator.
Okay. All right.
And this didn't come up with the last operator because they didn't opt that.
That's right.
Any other questions for Attorney Roberts or Attorney Crown? Commissioner Hill, I'm going to check in with you. Are you able to hear us?
I'm all set, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I'm seeing no questions from our WynnBET folks. All right. Well, that's a good sign. In order to move forward, we have to address the fact that there's also the need for a waiver on the 90-day requirement, notice requirement, Carrie.
That's right.
We're all set at that to move on that to begin with, commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that in accordance with 205 CMR 202.032, the commission issue a waiver to WynnBET from the requirements outlined in 205 CMR 258.011, as granting the waiver meets the requirements specified in 205 CMR 102.034 and is consistent with the purposes of General Law, Chapter 23N.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Now, with respect to the plan, do I have a motion?
I move that the commission approve the cessation plan submitted by WynnBET pursuant to 205 CMR 258.031 as required by 205 CMR 258.032 as included in the commissioner's packet and discussed here today.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Any questions or edits with respect to the plan? All right, Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0. There, now next steps. Carrie, a reminder.
Yes, of course. So WynnBET will submit their 10-day report by the 18th and will return likely a few days after that to the commission for you to review. And then they will submit their final cessation report on the 23rd. And again, we'll return to the commission in the days following that for the commission to approve the ultimate cessation.
Carrie, and you're going to work, I haven't had this conversation with Trudy yet. Are you working with her?
Yes.
Do we have all the dates?
Yes.
Commissioners will have to be a little bit nimble here. Okay, thanks, Trudy. Carrie will work with you on those necessary public meeting dates. Thanks. So we know that we will see regularly Attorney Crum. I want to say, Jennifer, it's always nice to see you and thank you for your work along the way. I know that we have another piece of business that we're going to address with respect to the sports bet. Jennifer, we're sorry to see WynnBET leave, but we appreciate the work that you did up until this moment. So thank you, and we'll be seeing you a couple of times ahead. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. We've appreciated being part of the Massachusetts sports betting landscape and working with the commission and staff. So thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll turn Carrie to item 2C, and I'll turn right. I guess Carrie, do you want to set it up so that then we'll hear from Jackie? Thank you.
Sure. So of course, with WynnBET ceasing operations in the Commonwealth, there's a question as to what Encore Boston Harbor will do with their retail sports book. And so we've asked Encore to provide an update on that here today. So Jackie Prum is here to give us that update.
Great, thank you, Carrie, and good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. First, I just want to thank the staff for working so hard with us, so closely with us to develop the plan. It really was a joint effort, and we very much appreciate it. So to answer the question regarding the continued operation of the sportsbook at Encore Boston Harbor, to be clear, moving forward, WynnBET will no longer provide sportsbook support services to Encore. And we will fully operate the sportsbook. And when I say we, that's Encore Boston Harbor team will fully operate the sportsbook. Previously, WynnBET provided a number of advisory services to our sportsbook, including coordination with third-party technology providers. And we've already developed that direct relationship with our third-party technology providers. And our IT team is equipped to handle this directly. On the marketing front, we obviously coordinated a great deal with WynnBET, but our marketing team locally will assume full responsibility for all marketing initiatives going forward. And all legal and compliance advisory services will be handled by the respective teams here at Encore Boston Harbor. So we do believe that this will be a seamless transition.
Thank you. And I'm just, I want to make sure to acknowledge Ms. Crum's full title, Senior Vice President and General Counsel. I refer to her as counsel and attorney frequently, and even Jackie, but she is, of course, Senior Vice President at Corporation Harbor. Carrie, do you want to just acknowledge that you, and I think perhaps even Caitlin Monahan, have looked at this closely? Are you satisfied from a legal perspective that this plan would work?
Yes, so discussed with Caitlin and also with Kara, our licensing director, and we're all satisfied at this point. There may be some licensing questions that come up in the coming weeks, but nothing that licensing can't address. So everyone is comfortable.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
I heard you mention a couple of our departments, but what about technology and making sure that they're comfortable with what's happening and things of that sort? Is everybody happy with this so far, or do we need to reach out to others within the commission to ensure that this will be a seamless transaction?
We can certainly do that, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. So I'm looking at our sports wagering team, and Carrie, you'll make sure and have proper coordination with them and Katrina, and even, of course, Derek for finance.
Of course, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Carrie.
In terms of any kind of logos used at the property, and how will you be transitioning that?
We have not yet reached a decision on what we'll call the sportsbook going forward, but that would be, you know, if we do make a change, we'll obviously notify the commission.
So are you thinking of keeping it WynnBET?
We just haven't made a decision.
I asked because I don't know, Commissioner Maynard, are you thinking something, right? You just look like you were going to speak.
Well, I don't know if we're on the same wavelength here, but I was sitting and wondering, and someone would have to refresh my recollection. In that period between the Super Bowl and March Madness, was it called WynnBET?
It opened as the WynnBET, yes, the sports bar.
And then secondarily to that question, was WynnBET acting as like a vendor during that period before they came in?
You know, we did at one point, I believe we did, register WynnBET as a vendor, but I don't believe it was with respect to the naming, right? So the name, our trade names are held by different entities as well. So it's not a vendor relationship.
I'm just really trying to figure out, have we already swept everyone who's going to be operating the book going forward, or is it totally new groups coming in? That's really what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm looking at Caitlin and Carrie and Todd. Or you, Jackie.
I can answer. I can take a stab at answering. A lot of the functions that I just mentioned, including the marketing, the legal, the compliance, the IT functions, will all be handled in-house by our team who are already licensed. The one The one gap that we're working with the IUB on is the trading teams. So, but we believe that we have a solution for that.
Okay, and so, Madam Chair, I don't know if this would be a material change to the application, right? I mean, no one's fully licensed yet, but I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is this something that we have to look at vis-a-vis the original application that we approved?
Well, that's exactly the question I think I raised to Loretta. I think I've been told, because I raised this question on my own, Commissioner Maynard, both Caitlin and Carrie, and that's why Carrie answered that it seems as though it satisfies and we wouldn't have to go back to the application process. I'll let Caitlin and Carrie weigh in on that. An addition is the name staying the same, and I wonder about consumer confusion, but maybe everybody can tell me that's not really an issue. So to Commissioner Maynard's good question, Caitlin and Carrie, why do we not have to go back to our application, or is this a consideration that we need to think about?
So I don't believe we need to go back to the application, and to be clear, that would be the Encore Category 1 application that I assume we're talking about. That is why sort of Carrie and I have had conversations with Jackie over the last week or so to determine the level, the level of change that's going to happen because of WynnBET leaving. And, based on the same things Jackie explained today, they're going to be able to take those functions in-house. There will be an individual who needs to be, their license will need to be transferred from WynnBET to Encore, but we've worked with Kara on a plan for that. I don't think this is, there's not a statute or a reg directly on point, but it doesn't strike me personally that this is such a big change that you need to reopen the Cat 1 application. If the commission is comfortable with the explanation for how the transition is going to happen, I think it can just move forward, because again, WynnBET is technically a vendor to Encore in this situation.
Commissioners? Commissioner Maynard, I see your thinking.
I'm waiting for another commissioner to say, is such a big change the standard? We often talk about standards and how we hold ourselves to these standards and regulatory standards. I'm trying to figure out where the line is here.
Well, I certainly recall when we were going through the applications, how this particular vendor and other vendors that were performing the same forms of support that Ms. Crum explained to our other applicants and now licensees, that we had to, if you recall correctly, at first we wanted to learn more about those vendors in the application, but we stopped digging deep into those vendors because we established in our evaluative process that they were providing support services and that we needed to focus on the applicant and not their choice of vendor for these particular services. And that included the traders. I remember that conversation distinctly. So I've gotten more comfortable, Commissioner Maynard, but I did raise this question over the last several months and even had that conversation, I think, with Director Monahan as recently as last week, as we approached this particular meeting. But I don't speak for my fellow commissioners. So Commissioners O'Brien, Commissioner Skinner, Commissioner Hill, how are you feeling about this? Anything further that we need to look at in terms of our original assessment? Commissioner Skinner.
I don't think so. It took me some time, as you indicated, early on in the process when we were reviewing the applications. And I, at one point, was kind of refusing to look at the relationship between Wynn and WynnBET and some of our other operator vendor relationships as nothing more than that, right? But, just through the advice of our legal counsel and their guidance, I got comfortable with looking at these relationships that way. So, I don't think of this as any different in terms of, what's going to be happening here with respect to the Category 1 sports wagering license.
Commissioner O'Brien. Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Commissioner O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean, I think I echo what Commissioner Skinner said. The only caveat being if in the process of swapping out the vendor that's doing the platform, anybody in our group raised a flag that said, we have questions about this vendor such that it would require a deeper dive. Obviously, I think that's something we would do. I just don't see that as being a risk here.
Okay, Commissioner Hill, do you have any follow-up on that?
Nothing to follow up. I agree with my fellow commissioners.
Okay. Director Band is back. Welcome. Good morning. Still good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner, Mayor, any follow-up questions?
Nope.
Okay. Cindy, can somebody remind me? I know that the sports bar says WynnBET on the top. I can see that on opening day, right? The sports book. The kiosks are they labeled WynnBET?
I have a photo I can find. I believe they would have the WynnBET logo on it when you first arrive at the kiosk.
Director Band, Manager Stephen Bushman, can you confirm that?
I believe they do as well.
They do. I can confirm.
Yes.
Okay. So right now, the plan for Encore Boston Harbor is to maybe change the name, maybe not change the name. And as today we have to approve, or we don't have to, we're looking at approving the cessation plan. Does the name present any legal challenges? Does it present any consumer protection challenges? I guess those would be my two questions. Commissioners, I'm turning to Todd and your legal team, Director Monahan, and also Director Band.
I think we're satisfied that there are no legal issues outstanding, that everything has been covered in accordance with the regulations. And nobody has identified any consumer protection related issues. I know there's one that's been raised here today as to the name, and we will continue to look at that. But otherwise, I think we're satisfied.
I was asking about the name. So are you saying
the name? I mean, yeah. As a legal matter,
and consumer protections, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really see it as a confusing situation. I understand the question, but it's not really. I don't know that we've analyzed that particular thing in accordance with the consumer protection statutes, but it doesn't strike me as something like that.
Director Monahan, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, but with regard to the name, I don't have any concerns from a consumer protection standpoint about using the same name. I think, what Commissioner Maynard said earlier sort of reminded me that it was called the WynnBET Sportsbook before WynnBET actually had its Cat 3 license for that 3-month period. So there is some precedent to calling it the WynnBET Sportsbook without WynnBET operating on its own as a sports wagering operator. So yeah, it seems to me more of sort of, as Attorney Crum pointed out, an IP issue of, who owns the IP and who could use it. And if they're comfortable with it, I don't have any concerns at this point.
Can you just say, Kaylin, because I don't want to prolong this, but I think I didn't really hear. Director Band said that for 3 months, it was called the WynnBET Sportsbook before it was a WynnBET Sportsbook. Do you mean that it was up on the, yes, certainly before they got a license?
Right. Because WynnBET at that point was a vendor. So they were using the vendor's name for the sports book, even though Encore is the Cat 1 operator for the sports book.
I don't think necessarily that came before us.
Just to clarify, it was the WynnBET Sports Bar before books were legal.
Thank you. I wanted to clarify that too, and I don't remember. Okay. Commissioners, any further questions? All right. So we need a motion to approve this plan, and then there'll be a few more next steps.
You don't need a motion on this. This was just an update from Encore
Oh, yeah,
Boston
that's right.
Harbor.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot that we already moved on the plan. Sorry. My apologies. You have that motion and that approval. So we don't need a vote now. No further questions? Okay. Thank you. So it looks like Jennifer's off. Thank you, Jackie. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any further business? Any updates that you want to provide?
I just want to say Commissioner Skinner was correct. I said 2 instead of by during my second motion. And for a clean record, I appreciate you fixing that for me, Commissioner Skinner.
You did not go back to watch, but thank you anyway.
He probably asked somebody to do it for him.
I was told.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We've got our prepositions again straight. So there we go. No other commissioners update or further business? All right. Need a motion to adjourn our 500 public meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Thanks, Commissioner Skinner.
Yep.
Thanks, Commissioner O'Brien. Thank you to the team. That was excellent work. Very, very nice leadership today, Carrie. Thank you so much. Feel better. Okay, Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
And Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Thanks so much. Have a great day.